So we really like, you know, fishing up there at Santee Cooper. I'm not going to give you the specific spots that we fish in. We do have our holes. You know, all fishermen have their secrets. Hey folks, welcome back to Autumn Woods Fishing and Outdoors. I'm out here today under the boat shed with my best friend ever since back in elementary school days, Paul Wise. You might have heard me in the past mention RWB Farms in Sumter, where they make the best honey in the state of South Carolina. So we got him down here in Earhart today, and we were just going to talk a little bit about when we started fishing and everything. We're trying to plan and go next week and do a little fishing up there at Santee. Gathered down here today and we ate a little lunch and we started talking about it, and we decided we'd put together a little video about how we might have started out fishing and stuff like that. So you remember when we were kids and we used to get on our bikes and go to Rivers Bridge or Wendell Hires' pond?
Yes, we'd get on our bikes, we'd strap the fishing poles on the side and tackle box and put the cricket box on the handlebars.
Yep.
And we go to Mr. Karras' pond, State Park, had a stringer full of fish, and we'd stop at little ditches and give them some water on the way back home.
Well, shoot, back in them days around here, I guess we had more water. It seems like we could even catch pike in the ditches around here.
We could.
But we don't have that anymore. You remember back when you first started, what got you into fishing?
Well, it was a Sunday family event. Every Sunday, my father would carry everybody, all of us fishing, when I was knee-high to a grasshopper.
Yep.
As far as I can remember, probably 4 or 5 years old.
I remember going out and practicing casting and everything and making big plans, and we'd get up early in the morning in the summertime when we didn't have school and take off and go. And
yep.
You know, back then, I mean, even in our household, fishing was part of the thing we did to have food once a week. We all loved to eat it, and I remember I'd fish in the pond, and we'd have a fish fry about once a week and for supper, and that's what we ate.
That's right, that's what we did too.
So we kind of started out like that, and I guess we kind of graduated. Matter of fact, we never had a boat or anything like that, and I can remember us going, and sometimes when you go to the pond, they'd have a boat at the pond and a paddle or a stick, and we'd have to go out and use that.
Yep.
Never was partial to cane poles too much. I always liked the rod and reels. Always was, if we couldn't get crickets, use a beetle spin or meps.
Or worms we dig up out the yard.
Or we used to dig worms. Yeah. And then I guess over the years we sort of just graduated
to the next level.
So you remember the time when we'd bike down there to Rivers Bridge and we would go camp out down there at the breastworks?
Right, at the breastworks, yes.
And I can't remember if we even had a tent or not.
No, we didn't have a tent. We was probably between 10 and 12 years old.
We were just going to sleep outside.
Sleep outside on the ground.
Fishing, and we had a campfire.
Yep.
The park ranger come up. He saw us down there.
Yeah.
He told us we couldn't camp there.
Couldn't have a fire?
Couldn't have a fire there. So we put it out, and I don't remember if we stayed or we left.
No, we stayed.
I think we did stay because I think you started telling ghost stories and stuff like that.
I did tell ghost stories.
And that kind of worried me.
Because I think we did start the fire back after the ranger left.
Yeah.
And so, when it was Chad's turn to go
get wood,
I said, you know, we're at the Civil War battlefield, and they just had a reenactment, and right over there is where all the dead bodies were. And Chad was scared. Didn't want to go get firewood.
Mm-mm. I said, if I got to get firewood, you going with me.
But my father would come down, because we live right down the road from it.
Yep.
So my father would come down there, slip down there one night just to check on us. And then he went back home.
He would come down there and see about us, and then he'd go back. So we were unsupervised, but we wasn't unsupervised.
Yeah.
Things that we used to do back then you can't really do now. So times have changed.
Yeah.
And everything. Well, do you remember anything about your first fishing experiences? I know you've been fishing for a long time, ever since you could walk.
Yeah, ever since I could walk. So
I remember going out and my dad taking us up north, which I was just little then, being from Minnesota, which is the land of 10,000 lakes. I think everybody up there fished. If you fished in the summertime, you fished out of a boat, or you fished from the bank like normal people do around here. If you fished in the wintertime, you ice fished. I do remember ice fishing in a little shack. I remember sitting out there on a bucket with a hole that my dad chiseled in the ice, and then you dip it out with a scoop.
Yep.
And then you'd fish with a little rod about that big and sit out there and catch crappie or crappie, walleye, northern pike, stuff like that is mostly what you used to catch up there, and some perch. But I remember those days and when I was very young.
Well, I remember growing up, I could barely see over the bridge, the 641 bridge. We would go at night catfishing, and my father would have these little kerosene smudge pots. They're trying to keep the mosquitoes off. One on each side of us, and we would spend 3 or 4 hours at night catfishing on the bridge. I could barely see over the top of the bridge. And
did he let you catch them?
Oh yeah. He would hook them first and let you reel them in. So,
and that was good experiences. I guess all that brought us to where we sort of are, and we got to be friends in school, in elementary school, when I moved here and everything, and then we started fishing together and stuff like that. I guess one of the best memories that I have fishing with this fella, even though he's wearing a Carolina shirt, and I told him we'd probably lose some subscribers because he had that shirt on today, but that's okay.
Go Cox!
You know, we fished so much. We used to go shrimping. We've saltwater fished. I can't remember that this is one of the best experiences, but I do remember a time when we went out saltwater fishing and we got stuck in the saltwater marsh on low tide.
Yes.
That wasn't too fun because we got sunburnt and everything.
Yep.
And it was about a week or less before you were going into the Marine Corps. And it was just terrible. We were down there in Beaufort. You know, we were just two high school kids out there on the saltwater, and we was in a 12-foot boat.
Fiberglass boat.
And yeah, we got back. We didn't use the boat landing.
Nope.
We put in off the side of the road. We actually took the boat in the back of the truck and put the motor on, and then pushed the boat in the water on the side of the road near the bridge. Well, the tide went out, and we couldn't get back to the truck, and we got sunburnt.
Sunburnt, yes.
Like real bad.
We turned into lobsters that day.
That's one memory I've got. Not long ago, in fact, it was just last October.
Yes.
You know, the biggest catfish that I ever caught was with this fella right here.
Yep.
He convinced me to go out at night. We were staying down there out of Santee State Park, and we got out there and we were fishing, and it got dark and rain came. Like, well, should we go back or should we stay? And Paul was watching the weather radar, and he says, no, it's just gonna last a few minutes. But anyway, it poured down, and we stayed out there through it, hooked into a big old flathead. man, that thing gave a pull like crazy. It was just fun catching. I mean, it was worth the whole trip. That's one of my best fish that I ever caught with him. Every time I went fishing with him, it's been a good experience. I mean, even if we didn't catch a lot of fish, we still had a good time.
We always have a good time.
So,
anytime we can get away from work, get on the water, it's a great time.
ain't that the truth? How about you? You got any memories? Anything specific?
You almost covered everything because we always fish together everywhere, whether it's the creeks, the ponds, the lakes.
Yeah. We try and do it all. You know, when we were younger, we did more saltwater fishing. After I've learned about corrosion and stuff like that, replacing boat motors,
Yeah.
I kind of want to stay away from the salt now.
Yeah. I don't go saltwater fishing unless it's with somebody else.
Go in somebody else's boat that knows, you know, that's got a rig for that. But I can tell you that we have fished that lake for years and years. My grandparents lived at Stumphole Landing, and when we were in high school, we were able to drive after we got our driver's license legally. We'd go and spend the weekends and fish Stumphole area, and we learned a lot of things about the area then. And as we've grown, we've ventured out further, and we've got our favorite holes and everything.
When you go out to Santee, don't be afraid to try something new. You know, if you always fish the same spots, you need to change up, and each part of the lake is different. And the time of the year you go, you fish one part of the lake, and if it's summertime, you fish another part of the lake. Go to Santee and fish. Whether you catch a fish or not, it's always good to get out there on the lake. And please be safe out there on the water.
Yeah, because it is a dangerous place. Countless times I've heard of people out in boats, and the boat's out there, but the person is falling out or something like that, or they didn't have on their safety cutoff switch on their motor, and the boat run over them after they got thrown out or hit a stump or something like that. So always keep safety in mind, especially where we fish, which is the upper lake. There's a lot more structure in that lake than there is on the lower lake. And when I say the upper lake, I'm talking about Lake Marion. There's a lot more trees and stumps and debris. But the only way you go catch fish on that lake is to go.
Is to go.
You got to go, and you got to try different places and different things. And I'll be quite honest with you, sometimes the place that looks like you're not going to catch anything is the places where you go catch them.
Yep.
I'll just throw that little secret in there. We've fished places there, it looks like it should be a paradise for shell cracker and things like that, and you don't get a bite. You just got to learn it. You just got to get out there and go.
Fish. Yep.
You just got to get out there and fish, because but that's how you do. Santee Cooper's definitely been good for us. It's been a favorite. It's closer to Paul where he's at now than it is for me. We take a trip together, once a year and stay for a week, and then we go, sporadically during the other months. Like I said, we're going to try and go next week and put together something for y'all. Just kind of sort of depends on the weather, I guess.
Yep.
It's hard to get out there on Lake Marion. Storms come up quick in the summertime, and we've been in some rough water.
Oh, yeah.
He actually but sunk this boat once out there at the campground.
At the campground. So we was camping at the campground, so we had it beached, and a big storm come up, and when I woke up the next morning, it was completely almost submerged except for the motor. So then had to dip all the water out, crank up the motor, and get all the water out. And that was an experience. The Santee learning experience.
It's a bad deal when you come out and your tackle box is floating in your boat.
Yep.
It is. Storms can come up out there real quick, and I know Me and this guy right here, we've been out there in that lake in some rough water. I'm talking about water coming over the bow.
Yep.
I'm talking about flipping the front seat almost out of the boat with waves crashing down. It was always fun. I mean, we left the fishing hole dry and literally got back to the landing soaking wet, from the waves.
The waves.
So you know, it's just you got to be careful out there. But that's just another experience that we've had.
Yep.
Don't never take that place lightly. It can get rough bad.
Mm-hmm.
So we just wanted to tell you a little bit about how we got started fishing together and what we like to do. We like to fish for brim, catfish, anything that bites, really.
Yeah, anything that bites the hook.
You know, we'll try it. I suggest that you do the same thing. I try and show you, you know, how you can fish on a budget, that you don't have to have a fancy $70,000 bass boat to get out there and catch a good mess of fish. You don't have to have the best fancy reels and everything like that, and rods. You know, you watch some of my other videos. I did one in Walmart getting ready to go catfishing, which showed you everything you need to catch catfish, you know, for under $40. You know, just get out there and go. If you've got any experiences that you'd like to share with us, you know, put them down in the comment section. If you have any questions, you know, we'd be glad to answer any questions that you have about the stump hole landing area or Lake Marion. You know, we'd be glad to answer any questions. So just put them in the comments below. I'd like to thank y'all for subscribing and tuning into the channel. Remember just to like our videos and hit that bell to let you know when we make new videos. And we really appreciate y'all watching and subscribing and sticking with us and everything. And we got deer season coming up, so we're going to try and do some deer videos as well. Some things outdoors when it cools off a little more. So just remember, you can't do it unless you just get out there and go.
That's right.
So do that, and we'll see you on the next one.
God bless.
God bless you. Thank you for watching. And I already said all that.